Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
Go, go, go. We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. All right, we're in the 130s now. I know that because this is episode 130 of the Operator Podcast, and I appreciate you joining me again. Thanks for joining me every week when you get a chance, if you can, because it is a lot of fun here. We got a lot going on. The Operator Podcast is called The Operator. I'm your host, Robert J. O'Neill, former Navy SEAL. And basically, I like to touch on military stuff and current events. We do delve into politics now and then just because we're forced to. Like I mentioned last week, and probably the weeks before, it's not that I like getting into the politics of everything. It's just that the way that I see it is that this is very important. Some of the stuff that's being made, some of the decisions being made, and some of the stuff that you're being lied to about and how stuff's being stolen from you is very important to this nation. The national security issues, what we have for our families, our cities, and all that stuff, our communities and the country itself and our allies. So a lot of the political stuff, even though it's thrown down our throats all the time, regardless of the apps and whatnot you get on whatever sites you read or anything like that, it's geared toward a lot of political agendas. And that's what I need to talk about, a lot of that stuff. Everything from what's going on in Iran right now, the 2 carrier strike groups that we're sending into the Persian Gulf, the 6 B-2 stealth bombers at Joint Base Diego Garcia, where we and the Brits have a base, and they say that that's within striking range of Iran. A B-2 in Missouri is within striking range of Iran. It's just a matter of flight time. I bet it's pretty comfortable up there too. I've never been in a B-2, but I bet it's good. And then with the tariffs, we'll get into the tariffs. Like I said, I'm a Navy guy and enlisted at that, so I'm not an economist. I don't have an MBA. I didn't play in the NBA either. I did play basketball, which is fun too. Did you watch the national championship game? I was kind of disappointed in some of that. The Final Four when Houston beat Duke, and you almost got to wonder if the fix is in. Duke was up by a lot against in the Final Four. That was on Saturday. Duke was up a lot against Houston. I think they gave up like a 14-point lead, a 12-point lead in a matter of 15 or so seconds, and they were just saying, well, they're so athletic, and it seemed like Duke was having a problem inbounding the ball. And they're like, Houston's very athletic. It's like, yeah, so are you because you're Duke. And you have the best player in the country. Why couldn't you inbound the ball? And even the head coach, what's his second year as head coach? But Coach K, Krzyzewski was there. How does K spell Krzyzewski? Whatever. Coach K was there, even to the point where Grant Hill, who used to play at Duke, who works at one of the news or the TV stations that was covering the game, he like genuflected in front of Coach K. Little over the top, but that's what they think of Coach K. But Coach K was sitting there, legend, and they couldn't inbound the ball, so that was disturbing. Houston went to the finals, and then they were beating Florida for a while, and they lost that too. Easy for me to say. Wasn't there on the floor. Fun to watch. I did enjoy watching all the games. It was good to see people fight back, though. Teams never quitting, getting in the fight, and sticking with their plan, and using momentum, using the teamwork. Really, it was fun to watch. I liked watching all of them. I kind of wanted Houston to win. Kelvin Sampson was their head coach. He's about my dad's age, and he played at Montana Tech and the University of Montana, I think. I didn't look this up. I didn't plan on talking about him, but I was telling my mother that I was watching that, and she said, "Oh, Houston's coach. He used to be my racquetball coach when I went to Montana Tech," which is kind of sweet. Back in the day when he was either playing or coaching there, he was a racquetball coach, which is funny. Small world, large planet, small world, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, even like right now, a little tangent I'll go off on, just current events and stuff, culture, I guess. I like history. I like to get into history. But now, because I was just saying a minute ago, I'm not an economist, but with the tariffs going off, I'll weigh in on that. And basically, I think I'll do something like I'm going to break it down to something along the lines of tariffs for dummies. And I'm by no means calling you a dummy. I'm saying tariffs for dummies because I studied it like a dumb guy would, so I understand it. And again, I won't be lecturing, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts on tariffs, what I think they are from research, and whether or not, it doesn't matter what I think is good or bad. It's just because like the economy is going to be very volatile. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, they're going to be up and down for a while. And that, that affects a lot of us, but most people don't have money in those. Like, it's crazy to see the left going out there and screaming and yelling and doing what they do and taking their homemade signs that were made, not homemade, their mass-produced signs that are handed out on the buses they all come in on. But they probably can't explain what that is. They probably don't have money in the market, but they probably also are always saying tax the rich. I mean, a lot of people that are investing in the market, I've lost a lot of money, and the rich are losing. You think they'd be celebrating, yay, tariffs, because the rich are getting poorer, but they don't even know what that means because I don't think that their handlers have told them enough about that. So that, that'll be good. Well, I'll do tariffs for dummies. I want to talk about Iran, Benjamin Netanyahu in D.C., and obviously big protests, especially in New York. They shut down Grand Central Station because that's not an important place for people to. They don't have jobs, so it's okay for them. Well, they do have a job. That's their job. They get paid. I believe the rate is $200 a day for the protesters. They are getting paid too. The reason they're so pissed off at Elon Musk and Trump and Doge is because the money they're stealing from you goes to a lot of these non-governmental organizations, and they in turn fund places that eventually, as the money trickles in and out of your pocket, in and out of politicians' pockets, that it does get down to places that fight for their agenda. And these are a lot of these NGOs have shell corporations that actually train these actors how to be antagonists, because they don't really know what they're talking about, but they will get in your face. And I do want to see one. And again, it's not that I've actually, I've been to Fox News in New York on 6th Ave, Avenue of the Americas in Manhattan, if you will. And there's a protest. It was, I think, every Wednesday, and they went there a certain time. They all left. And I went up to them. I'm not trying to antagonize people. I'm not going to go pick a fight with anyone. Kind of over that shit. But I did try to talk to them and just honest. I know no camera. I'm not filming them. I'm just like, for my own essay, situational awareness, which a lot of people do not have anymore. A lot of GLSA out there. What does that stand for? Gross lack of situational awareness. That's a safety violation in selection, in green team. But I went up and said, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, we get $50 to be here for a few hours." So we hold the signs, then we all leave. That's it. Ran into Michael Rappaport there one day. It was pretty funny. He was filming. He made a video, and we ran into each other. I've known him for a while. He's been in some great movies. He was in True Romance. Dick Ritchie was his name. He played Dick Ritchie, the aspiring actor that brought Clarence in Alabama out to L.A. to try to sell all the cocaine they had, and he knew a guy who knew a producer. You haven't seen True Romance, you're missing out, man. Val Kilmer was in it. Try to find him. If you haven't seen True Romance, cult classic, one of Tarantino's first movies. Excellent movie. I watched it with my father, and he never found Val. I don't think he was paying attention anyway, but Val Kilmer plays a funny part in that. Very pivotal part, a good advice giver. But yeah, there are a lot of paid protesters, so it's fun to talk to them. Again, I'm not trying to start shit. If they start blasting a blowhorn or a whistle, it's like, I'm not even going to throw a punch. I'm just going to leave. So whatever. I just try to hear your point, even though you don't have one. But what I'm getting at is there's stuff that affects what's going on. So Netanyahu is there, Iran is there, Ukraine, obviously. Money flowing, the tariffs with China. It'll be interesting. Right as we're speaking right now, shit's going on with it, because China will. They're going to rattle the shit out of their sabers, but their economy is really volatile, and they manipulate their currency all the time. And even with the tariffs, they'll move their stuff. Like if they're shipping from China and we got a 105% tariff on, they'll start doing it out of different countries that they own. But what's happening now, especially because in Asia, because China owns Asia, basically. I know I don't mean to be insulting to people in Japan, people in Taiwan, people over there, Indonesia, and all that stuff too. But China's kind of the big dog, and they can move their shit around so they get away from tariffs. But a lot of these countries are saying, you know what, we want to deal with the United States now. We'll just won't even deal with China, which is good for us. Bad for Nike. Bad for the NBA. That'll be interesting too. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. He makes a ton of money, but a lot of Nike's made in China, not by the best way. Like even the people that are so up in arms about human rights and whatnot, screaming in their iPhone, not realizing that their iPhone was made by slaves. I said it, slavery in China. That's how it happens. And with the tariffs, your Apple products are going to go up quite a bit. So I'm not buying Apple right now either, but it will be long-term interest. Hopefully not a whole bunch of interest. Money joke. Long-term effects on this will be interesting to watch because right now the way Trump is playing it is the long game. And if you slow down and stop worrying about immediate gratification, not necessarily you, but people that are screaming right now, your kids are going to be effed if we keep this rate. I'm going to get into tariffs and how that affects us in a little bit, but it's just the way it's the way a lot of stuff's going. But it has to be done. We're getting screwed by everybody. It's been since before World War II, but basically after World War II. I'll get into the tariffs and whatnot. But in other countries, we're just the big dumb rich neighbor, rich buddy, the guy at the school that doesn't realize he's the toughest guy in the school. And he's dumb, and he gives you all his money and all this stuff. And we've been putting up with it. Now we're not because America first, and we'll see how it goes. I'm confident about it. I'll get into it later. But it comes down to that. And again, you got to be prepared for what could happen. Prepare yourself. You don't need to whine and bitch, but you do probably need to realize that no one's coming for you. And if they are, it's going to be in a while. So you got to be prepared. And that is actually a good segue because I need to talk about today's sponsor, My Patriot Supply. Love My Patriot Supply. And I talk about them a lot, and I'm imploring you to go get yourself emergency food. It's that's the first thing to go. You've heard me talk about My Patriot Supply because I trust them when it comes to my family's well-being. And I just got word, and I'm happy to be bringing this up, that they're doing something they've never done before, because right now you can get their best-selling Mega 3-month emergency food supply for the same price as the standard kit. That's more than $360 of real beef, real chicken, plus farm fresh fruits and vegetables. That's included at no charge. Even better, this kit now gives you 2,500 calories a day, more than any other emergency food kit I've seen. And let's be honest, when things go sideways, you're going to need more than just survival. You need strength, you need energy, and you need real food. This kit will be there when you need it. I have it. I've bought it for my families. It's here in my garage. I'm not going to tell you. It's either in my garage or basement, but don't come over and steal it. But I'll share it with you because I'm one of those guys. But in these containers it comes in, it's up to 25 years. It stays fresh for 25 years, and it ships really fast, very quickly, and it's discreet. And if you've been waiting for the right time, this is it. So go to my favorite website, preparewithrob.com. Go there right now and check it out. This is vital. Go to preparewithrob.com, and you can get your mega kit while these kits last. Go to preparewithrob.com. Go there. Get food. Be safe. Peace of mind. Less stress, less anxiety. Preparewithrob.com. And because of what's going on with the volatility in the markets and tariffs and all that good stuff, I want to take this time to talk to you about American financing. Look, I don't know your exact situation, but if you're like thousands of homeowners that American financing talks to every month, you're struggling to keep up, barely making ends meet or drowning in high interest debt. And it's not your fault. Life got more expensive. Inflation hit hard. And if you're still carrying credit card balances with 20% or more interest rates while your mortgage sits untouched, you're ignoring the one thing that could turn it all around, your home. And this is where American financing can help you. Would you trade 10 minutes of your time for a shot at saving an average of $800 every single month? Because that's exactly what homeowners are doing when they call American financing. A simple, no-obligation call could change everything. They have a team of salary-based mortgage consultants, so there isn't any incentive to put you in a loan that doesn't make sense. That's not what they're there for. They're there to work with you, and there's no upfront fees to find out how much you can save. So take this serious. Don't wait. Call American Financing today and start feeling that relief. You can reach them at 866-889-5154. That number again for American Financing is 866-889-5154. Or you can go check them out at americanfinancing.net/operator. americanfinancing.net/operator, or give them a call, 866-889-5154 for American Financing. President Trump spoke at the National Republican Congressional Committee this week. Not sure if you saw that, a black tie event. You know, get around a committee, congressional committee. It can be fun. I was just in D.C. Last week, hanging out with some team guys that became congressmen. I went to Derek Van Orden's office, had lunch with Ryan Zinke, went to a shoot with them. Eli Crane was there. A couple dudes were there. Tim Sheehy, senator, was there. Fun. We went around and just talked about some certain things, but it's always good to see my friends out there. A lot of guys that don't need to be in politics, but they are based on personal stuff like property tax, how ridiculous it is. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Wisconsin with Senior Chief Van Orden because of that. There was just an election where a liberal, not liberal again, a leftist judge, I guess, was elected, and they're going to redistrict, so we should see what happens up there. Wisconsin is an important state. It was, I guess, technically considered a swing state, but now it's pretty much blue. But if you look at the map of Wisconsin too, they're mainly conservative. It's all red except for like Madison, which is crazy. I'm talking sitting at the Thanksgiving dinner table eating poo, crazy. I was up there a couple times, man. It's a beautiful place too, but again, it's been overtaken with whatever. I'm not going to get into it. Positivity is the name of the game. It was funny, though, listening. If you haven't caught the highlights at the NRCC, it was pretty funny what Trump was talking about. He was saying that obviously a lot of countries are coming to Donald Trump because of the tariffs, which I'll get into in a little bit, too. I dumbed it down for myself, did some research so that I basically am going to talk in a little bit so that I understand tariffs. Because one of the ways that if you want to really be good at something, teach it, right? Read it, hear it, teach it. Teach it's the best way. So I'm going to read a little bit about tariffs in a bit, but he was saying that a lot of countries are coming to him now because China has a monopoly over there and over in Asia, and they want to stop dealing with China, which is cool. Want to deal directly with us? That's great. You don't want to be the last country because you won't get the best deal. So even when President Trump's out there golfing, which he was a little bit too, he's taking calls. He's taking calls at the end of the holes and whatnot. And you can do business on a golf course. That's actually part of the reason I started golfing. It's still not good. It's a great game. I love being out there. But because even if you're going to invite someone for a meeting somewhere, what would you rather do? Go hang out outside on a beautiful golf course or go to an office? So you can do business out there too. But he was saying that some Democrats are even coming over to negotiate with the tariffs, which would be good too. I mean, honestly, again, left or right, and I'm kicking out the craziest here, but imagine if Congress worked together and if we found middle ground between the parties. That'd be pretty cool if we worked for America first, because for some weird reason, too, the communists that came in said that nationalism is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And if they move, anyway, they said they're moving forward, and he was a little surprised with a couple Republicans said that he shouldn't be doing it. He shouldn't be doing it alone, and Congress should negotiate. And he said something. He said, "Oh, that's just what I need. Some guy telling me how to negotiate." Which I think is kind of funny. He wrote The Art of the Deal. I need to refresh on The Art of the Deal, but we'll do. I'll read that again. It's been a long time. It was written a long time ago. I remember seeing it. My father, Tom, had a copy of The Art of the Deal at his house. I don't know which one of them. Doesn't matter. It was there. I'm gonna re-up on that, and we'll talk about that in a different episode. I think that'd be fun too. But other Congress people don't care for President Trump. Jasmine Crockett's a congresswoman from Texas, and she doesn't like him, and she's making headlines. She's getting out there saying stuff. I mean, not always the best stuff. I've never met Congresswoman Crockett. She's not afraid of the camera. She likes to get it out there. So who knows? She might be very pleasant. She says some stuff that's odd. She said something along the lines of, just because you're an illegal immigrant doesn't mean you broke the law, which is scary for someone who makes the law to say that. She also mentioned that when Donald Trump was out golfing, that cost us $26 million. I'm not sure what the hell you're playing. It's going to cost $26 million. I don't know where she got that number. I don't know if it's true or what they're adding up. I haven't seen where she got that information. Maybe it's because of all the Secret Service and the travel, but Secret Service and the travel comes with the biz. They're going to be, I mean, if they went to, I don't know, to get ice cream, probably cost about the same. But it is what it is. And the arguments are just, again, it's the tariff thing. It's the China thing is going to be pretty interesting too, because even Rahm Emanuel from the Clinton days said you cannot tariff high enough on China because all they do is they steal and they spy, which is true. I mean, go up to New York, look at NYU and Columbia, a lot of Chinese spies, a lot of the stuff that they come up with, they stole from us, a lot of intellectual property rights. They don't like us. They're still pissed about the opium wars from hundreds of years ago, but they play the long game like I've mentioned before, and we'll get into that. $26 million to golf. You know what's interesting with China is eventually someone's going to speak up, and that'll be, who will it be? Will it be the NBA? Because the NBA is really dying for that audience. There's a big audience in China. They love the NBA. Are they going to be the ones to speak up? A lot of the shoes are made over there. Is Nike going to speak up? Which politicians are going to speak up to defend China? Because that will be very interesting to see what happens. Because if anyone, especially politicians, start speaking up defending China, you'll know where the money went. You'll know who got compromised. Eric Swalwell comes to mind. Pay attention to that. See where the money went. People start defending China, it's for a reason. Remember when John Cena got on there? I don't know what was said, but he had to defend his movie because they want the audience, and he did an entire apology to the Chinese people in Mandarin. Impressive. Learning a new language is difficult. I'd imagine Mandarin's a hard one, but he got in there, knocked it out. I hope his paycheck was good. But it'll be interesting to see what Hollywood does too. So pay attention to that and other stuff that's going on in the world. Just because of stuff like this and the negotiations that are happening, because they say trade wars can end badly, tariffs can end badly, ships are moving and stuff like that. So it's good to pay attention to this. But militarily, the thing you want to pay attention to is the potential negotiations between Iran and between us, between the United States, and obviously the West the West wants this and Israel wants this because we just said Iran, how would you ever say it? We always switch up how we say stuff. Iran cannot get nuclear weapons, and we've said that's going to happen. We can't do it. So the negotiations, the Iranians don't want to negotiate directly with the United States just because of past stuff. And we jumped out of that horrible nuclear deal a couple of years ago in 45's term. And there's going to be another one. But what concerns me is now that doesn't concern me because it's a deterrent and it's a way to do it. But we're moving a lot of troops to that area, the Middle East, which if you can imagine, we've already had troops there, about 40,000 across the Middle East or over there now. They've been there, Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, stuff like that. There's smaller specialized amounts of soldiers like air crews and things like that for logistic defense stuff. We did move 2 carrier strike groups. They're headed that way. The USS Harry S. Truman is in the Red Sea, and the USS Carl Vinson, which you might remember from that's where I was told they chucked bin Laden's body off of the Carl Vinson. That's what I was told. It's en route from the Pacific, and the carrier groups they have a lot of sailors. They have F-18s, pilots, obviously, destroyers, cruisers, subs. 7,500 sailors are in each group. So we're putting a presence out there because when you're negotiating, if you see a couple carriers or know they're out there, it's something, and then. Like the Pentagon sent to Diego Garcia, which is a joint base, F-35 stealth fighters, and the B-2. They sent 6 B-2 stealth bombers, which we only have 20 of those. So when they send 6 somewhere, it's a big move. And also they're moving in the one that I was looking at too was the refueling tankers. That's a big one because when you start to strike from somewhere or move mass movements of troops, one of the first things you do after liftoff is refuel. You get the KC-135 up in front of you, and then they send the little. Just picture a longer pump at the gas station that goes to the front of a plane, And I hope you're never in this situation, but if you find yourself on a military transport, like, I don't know, a C5 or something like that, and you're invited up to the cockpit to watch refueling, just pass. I did that once, and again, kudos to pilots for flying that because it's shady. Yeah, but they're moving that. They're moving Patriot missiles, THAAD missile systems, both anti-missile missiles that do a lot of crazy stuff. There's been a spike in logistics, 140 heavy cargo planes moving to places like Qatar, like Bahrain, Jordan. So that's about a 50% jump from the peak from recently. And then I don't think this is a full-scale invasion force, but you got to know your history and see what could happen, what could spike, whatever, because the Iranians are very sensitive. The mullahs, like Ayatollah Khomeini doesn't care for us too, and they're the ones running the whole show there. But if we do strike Iran, it will be hopefully won't be the civilians. We don't want boots on the ground right now, obviously. Don't want to start another war there. They will hit we and Israel and maybe Great Britain will probably hit the sites, the ports, so they can't get nukes, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. We don't want that war. And I've said before in previous episodes that if one nuclear weapon gets launched, man, that's probably going to be a nuclear holocaust and the end of life as we know it. So I just said I'm going to stay positive. That's not it. Hopefully what we're doing too is a lot of Iran's economy is already shaky because of the sanctions that have been placed on them. It's crippling them, and sanctions is another thing too. You just basically restrict something a country can do, and I've always wondered how do we enforce that? It's probably through might, to a threat of force, and you need assistance from your allies because there's stuff like financial restrictions, and you can restrict trade and travel and diplomatic pressure, different countries and banks and whatnot. You can freeze their assets, which they've done. It's just an agreement between our countries, our allies, financial institutions, stuff like that. So the sanctions are there. We want to avoid war. But on a happy note, they also, along with the stealth fighters and bombers, they also threw in a slew of A-10s, which if you don't know what an A-10 is, the way I would dumb it down for myself, an A-10 is basically a really big gun that the Army took to the Air Force and said, make this fly. So they did. Look up A-10s. Just look it up. Do a search. Look up A-10s and see what they do there. You're going to win that fight. Usually, it'll be interesting to see if we go to war because I'm just happy I didn't go to war when all these suicide drones are out there too with dudes that are really, really good at Call of Duty or Halo back in my day, and they can fly drones right up your butt. Don't want that. So war's not good. Hopefully the sanctions work, and we're going to enforce them. And yeah, that's that. We'll get into might as well get into tariffs. Okay, so now the fun part. I mentioned earlier that I was going to do my best to get into tariffs, but I did need to caveat that with I did go to college. I didn't graduate. Far from it. I left after a whopping, it's either, I think 12 credits. I knocked out 12 credits, and then it was like, I finished up the basketball season, and it was like, it's time to leave town. So I didn't get a degree. My plan was to get an MBA, but I did not get an MBA, and I went to the Navy, and I traveled the world, and I saw stuff. And I learned that way, which is really good, though. I think it's a good way to learn. I'm very happy with that. It's something that's available to the younger listeners right now. By younger, I mean anyone who's younger than 50, because by God, that's young to me. I'm not 50 yet, but I'm pushing 50. Yeah, but I learned a lot of stuff just by studying and reading. Like when you go to school, remember the old thing where, like in the Navy, in the military, if you're a veteran or active duty right now, when they're like teaching a class or whatever, and they stomp on the floor like this will be on the test. Or if a professor or a teacher in high school or whatever says, and this will be on the test, they're basically just telling you that they're not teaching you how to learn. They're teaching you memorize this, and that's not a way to go. I learned a thing or two going around the world. I've forgotten a thing or two going around the world too. But I mentioned tariffs before because that's the talk of the day. Everyone's yapping about it, and not a lot of people know what they are. So I said tariffs for dummies, which means I did a shitload of research so that I could understand them better. And if I'm putting out anything bad, anything incorrect or untoward, if you will, just let me know. Obviously, they're in the comments at the Operator Podcast. Let me know and we'll do it. But tariffs are the thing right now, and they're being used right now to get an even playing field. What I love about what this administration is doing is that they can be used to negotiate, but this is not a negotiation. The Trump administration has until the next, about a little over a year until the next midterms. So they could push this through if they want. We're going to see if it works. And I think it will. I think they will. I think we're all going to prosper because of these, and I'm about to explain why. I'll explain why at the end. But these are my notes. My notes in previous podcasts, I keep them on my computer usually. But then I go off on tangents sometimes, and I'm not looking down. So I have notes here, and I still have them on my computer in case I forget or in case I screw something up. But tariffs used to sound boring. They don't anymore. We used to think they were something that only economists, professors, and teachers and the like, stock market guys, importers, exporters, and businesses. But now they're affecting everything. Now they always have, but they are especially affecting it now. And that's the price of your phone. That's the price of the coffee you drink. As one of my Master Chiefs once said, it affects wine, women, and song. That was his go-to. But they're even the jobs that are available in your community or locally, it affects them. So, like I said, before this week, you probably didn't care, but now you do. So I'm going to try to break it down for myself, the dummy. So this is Tariffs for Dummies. A tariff's a tax the government puts on stuff coming into the country. Goods coming in. Sometimes they put it on like goods that are leaving, but that's rarer, so I'm not going to get into that. Plus, I probably don't understand that anyway. But the breakdown here, my father-in-law, Tommy Halpin, likes to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid kiss. He uses the $100 thing, the 100 number, because it's sort of a round number. But let's say you're buying a pair of shoes from, China. It is going to be interesting to see what all these basketball shoes in the NBA is going to do now that we're all slap happy with tariffs on China, because they're not just tariffs, but man, they're cheating the shit out of everybody. But let's just say $100 pair of shoes from China, and the U.S. has a 10% tariff on China. 10% of 100 is 10. So the 100 shoes cost $110, and the U.S. government gets $10. Our government gets $10, and the people buying it pay $110 for it. And a tariff is collected at customs, so at a port or port of entry or the border, and it's taxed before they hit the shelves. And it can be a flat fee or a percentage. Right now, we're just talking about a percentage. 10 of 100 is 10. And governments use tariffs for a few big reasons. Then they affect you. Like I said, jobs in your community, prices at the grocery store, which are right now is wobbly, or in our case, for the good old U.S. of A, is fairness. Because we're just trying to get fair trade. Basically, what we're trying to do is put zero tariffs on everything. But we've been getting cheated for so long, and a lot of our politicians' pockets have been getting lined that they don't really care. It's just affecting you. But there's so much going on, so much code and regulation that why would you pay attention? Now they're showing it to you, and this is why a lot of the left's getting pissed off, because if we make it fair, a lot of other countries have dirt on a lot of our people, and it's going to be exposed. A lot of our politicians have been cheating, and that's going to be exposed. That's why they're up in arms, and that's why the blue hairs out there that are getting paid to yell and scream don't know anything. They don't need to. They can just yell and scream. That's going to get the press because but keep in mind, though, the loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. And I bet if you asked one of these protesters what a tariff is, they wouldn't know. All they know is Trump said tariff, so it's bad. But tariffs can protect local jobs. They make foreign goods more expensive, and that has local consumers lean toward stuff that's made here. For goods and services. Buy American. If that's more expensive, but American made, not only is it higher quality, but it's less expensive. That's good. And we hear a lot about the steel industry lately, and that's important. Let's say we put a tariff on imported steel, like coming in from different places that we do import. It makes American steel cheaper, better, but less expensive. So companies that are buying steel or need to buy steel, they might buy from U.S. factories. And this saves or creates jobs in like Ohio and Pennsylvania, swing states. But it makes it better jobs in Ohio and Pennsylvania. That's good. And we depend a lot on foreign companies for our steel. And when would that be bad, do you think? Probably if you go to war with them, right? Right, China? Like, we're importing steel from China. Not only are they don't have any interest in not giving us their best steel anyway that lives up to our code. But they could just stop. Like if we go to war with them, I mean, you got to figure right now, even China, they're commuter ships. Every ship there is made to military grade, can be turned into a military ship. And if we go to war, there's a lot of things they're going to pull. One of them is our steel. And I don't want to be making our warships with Chinese steel anyway. But, I mean, we're also importing steel from Canada, Mexico, Brazil, South Korea, Germany, Japan, and Turkey. I mean, Turkey's volatile right now. That's in the Middle East. Again, should know where that is. Goes, there's a Bosporus Straits that goes right into the Black Sea, right near Ukraine. Not that I expect people to know where Ukraine is, because that's never in the news. But wouldn't it be better, like, to build our own ships and tanks with homemade steel? And I know tanks are made of a lot of different stuff, depleted uranium and fancy, smancy shit like that. I don't want to get all technical saying fancy, smancy, but tanks are made of a lot of steel, from the tracks to the interior and all that stuff. And I'd rather have, if I'm a tanker, which I think are awesome, by the way. Tankers are just awesome. Tanks, I've only seen tanks. I've never had the privilege of calling in tanks. I can imagine you're going to win. You should win that fight. But, even as you think about what you're going to get into, your career or job you're trying to get around, tariffs could affect whether like whatever industry you're going to get into is going to thrive or struggle. But, based on what they're bringing and putting out, too. Tariffs are good for bringing in money. Tariffs are a way for governments to collect revenue, and that's important. Even though we don't really have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem, but the answer is always tax the rich. It's not going to work. But tariffs can make the government more money. And, before there was this theft called income tax, like in the early 20th century, 19th century, we relied heavily on tariffs to pay for roads and schools and infrastructure and wars. And even right now, like, these prices can affect student loans or how you get to work. That if you take the metro or the train or whatever like that, all these tariffs can affect it. But a good thing about tariffs is they level the playing field. Some countries like to play dirty. Again, I'm thinking China. China always comes up, man. They'll pay Chinese companies cheap to make. They'll pay them to make their stuff. It's called dumping. They pay them to sell their goods cheap, or they have like lax rules on the environmental stuff. Like when we shut down the Nord Stream pipeline, but we're importing from Venezuela oil. They're not making it to standard. We all live on the same planet, but no one cries about that. I mean, our oil is cleaner. Venezuela's dirtier, but we're going to get it from Venezuela because we have kids on campus that are yelling about that stuff. But yeah, that's dumping. And China looks past stuff too, like worker safety or the age of their workers. Did you know slavery? They use slave labor over there. They have re-education camps. Not a lot of good stuff in China, but you don't think about that when you're pinging on your iPad or wearing your, I'm not going to say my favorite shoes. But when you're wearing them, you think who made them? And they're making money hand over fist doing that, having a whatever. But that's just, anyway, tariffs can make their bullshit products more expensive to consumers here. And again, the trickle down is that's going to lean me towards American made. Like Nike, for example, born in Oregon. They should be building in Oregon, right? I thought so. And better quality too. If it's made in the United States, it's a better quality. I mean, not for nothing, sweatshops can knock out a lot of quality products, but handmade stuff here is a lot better. It's basically what you're saying with tariffs to a country is if you're going to cut corners, your shit's going to be more expensive here, period. If that isn't keeping it simple and mastering the basics, I don't know what is. And the good about tariffs is they bring factories back. Because of our regulations, because of our tax code and all that stuff, there's not a lot of incentive to build here when you're going to get taxed. That's why you need to get rid of a lot of the red tape and bullshit. But companies do go to places like Ireland, move to China, all that stuff. They're moving all over the place, Mexico. But tariffs they might bring, because the factories are still there. They can be upkept or reworked, whichever military term you want. To bring factories back or even open new ones because of the revenue, because people are buying. We can leverage more and we can negotiate better. That's good for American business. It's also good for national security, like I mentioned. Why should we rely on other countries for our stuff? The steel, that kills me, and just all the other nonsense that they're not doing. They're not stringing our guys up with regulations. We are, and then that's going to pay in the long run too. So I mean, these are good about. Now we're also dealing with potential bad stuff too. it's a tax. It's a tax at the border. But that's what a tariff is, and we're going to raise ours just to make our stuff more appealing and their stuff more expensive. And it's Donald Trump said it's not a negotiation. This is just how it's going to be. And a lot of countries are running to them now. And China right now they're right around now. They just got hit with our bigger tariffs, and it's gonna be interesting. Like the market's a little wobbly, but so is their economy, and they're dealing with stuff they don't tell you. They don't disclose everything that they're doing. They had the one child policy for a long time. Now that's horrible. That's what they do. But that's how communism works, by the way. If the government doesn't want you to have a kid, they'll come in and kill it for you. And I don't even mean abortion. They'll do it in other fun ways too, demonic stuff. But communism leads to that every time. But they're not being honest. But we might see higher costs at first. It's a little bit messy now. You always hear about trade war. No one's going to beat us in a trade war. We have way too many allies and we're way too strong. And everyone realizes that with a strong America, they're going to be better. We're better for commerce. We're fair to our own fault. Now, granted, we've been known to bomb people, but we're pretty fair with trade, usually. But China does weird stuff, too. You'll hear a term that you'll hear thrown around is currency manipulation. And then China does that big time, too, because currency manipulation is an action taken by the government or central banks, other monetary authorities to artificially alter the value of their currency in the foreign exchange markets. And this is just done to it's lying to get a competitive edge in the international markets, in the international trade. It can be done in different forms, like intervention in the foreign exchange market. A country's central bank may buy or sell large amounts of its own currency to influence its value. If I'm making a lot of sense here, because I'm dumbing this down for me, and I have it. I printed it so I can read it, just so I don't start talking trash and then go off on Cheetos or something. But if a country wants to make exports cheaper, more competitive, it might sell its own currency to lower its value relative to other currencies, or by adjusting interest rates. A central bank can influence the demand for its currency. Lower interest rates, it can lead to a depreciation of the currency, while raising them can lead to an appreciation, the opposite. Just manipulating their own currency to look like it's something it's not. It's kind of like when like you see the little lizard in the tree on planet Earth, and he just bows up like he's a big dog to look bigger or whatever than he is. There's also capital controls. The government may impose restrictions on the flow of capital in and out of the country. What does that do? Again, it just affects the value of the currency. And here's one that was cool. It's called pegging the currency. Some countries peg their currency to another, like usually a stronger currency or like a couple of currencies. And it can help stabilize the currency's value, but it also can manipulate the value. In a nutshell, currency manipulation is controversial. It can help boost a country's exports, and it can temporarily boost its economic growth, but it can lead to trade imbalances. It can lead to tensions, trade imbalances and tensions. You're seeing that right now with other countries like us. And like the International Monetary Fund, they might monitor it because that's what they say they do. But again, these are agents. Like these are governments upon governments upon governments. They're manipulating shit too, so I don't necessarily trust them. But that's who's looking for it. So essentially, a tariff is a tax on imports. Makes stuff more expensive. It makes imports more expensive, so it incentivizes purchases here, which hopefully can lead to, hopefully we can cut some more of the red tape. That's what government efficiency is doing, getting rid of a lot of these places. Like you hear that Elon Musk is not unelected. Yeah, neither is the EPA. Neither is the United Nations. Neither is the Global Monetary Fund. No one in any cabinet is elected. So, don't take that and put it in your pipe and smoke it, whatever the crazy kids are saying these days. But that is like a dummy version, my version of tariffs and a little bit of trade. Like I said, I buy stocks now and then, but I have finance guys, especially in Texas, because I like to keep my money near the oil, baby. But I want to close with a warm and fuzzy, because not everything's doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be anyway. If you get outside, you'll realize it can be nice, even with crappy weather. Just getting a little of that vitamin dizzle from the sunshine will be good. But I've been seeing this around. I listen to stuff a lot, and I check certain places for certain things. Trust but verify. I have a couple different sources, then I'll verify, and you can do that any number of ways. But don't just have a single source. It's kind of like when you're running a source in a different country, and the way you run a source is you pay people to go tell you where the bad guys are. In a nutshell, they come in, they tell you enough stuff, you give them money, they go out and find more stuff, come back, whatever. But again, they can manipulate it too because they're only giving you enough information to get paid. That's all they care about. So what you want to do is have that source, but have another source he or she doesn't know about, and yet another source that no one knows about. And you corroborate their intel, and you can kind of figure out what's what. But single source, who knows? That's like if you're only watching Fox News, you might want to switch it over. You might want to look at something on the internet. If you're only watching CNN, look at something else too. I mean, if you put on Fox News and CNN in your house at the same time, you're either going to invent time travel or your house is going to blow up. Not sure what's going to happen there, but I've been on both. All good. No trash talk here. But here's my warm and fuzzy. Scott Bessent, and I hope I'm saying his name right, is Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary, and he's the chief advisor on everything economic. And this is important because this dude, as far as I can tell, I've never met him, has got a black belt in managing micro hedge funds, and he knows everything about that manipulation that I was talking about that's going on now. Dude knows everything about it, and he'd be the guy to ask. I was researching him a little bit, and he's a badass mofo. He's also worth over $700 million, and the vast majority of his personal wealth is based on U.S. assets. So he has absolutely no reason whatsoever to destroy his own wealth, his own livelihood, just to play politics or just to get a gotcha. The dude's out there and he believes the tariffs. He's telling what's happening. His estate and future generations are tied to this economy, and they're tied to its long-term success. Scott Bessent will not destroy it. He's giving solid advice so that he can thrive, so that we can all thrive. And he's the guy behind a lot of this stuff. He's not going to destroy it. Here's an interesting tidbit, too. You would think the left would love him, but they just love politics more. He is also the highest-ranking openly gay person in American history. That should be a headline. Isn't that breaking a ceiling? This dude's bad to the bone. He's giving you solids, and he's either got a great poker face or he's calm. Either way, that's good for all of us. Be calm. There's no reason. It's like the pilot that says, obviously we've had some weather up here at 38,000 feet, instead of screaming at you that we're all going to die, because it's not going to happen, because the pilot's got it, Scott's got it, it's all good. And the media was complaining that Donald Trump went out golfing. He golfs a lot. He's a great golfer. I don't know. His handicap's really low. He's good. I've never golfed with him. I want to, but he's really good. But the left is all over it because presidents golf. Well, not all presidents, but he golfs. Obama golfed. A lot of presidents golf. George Bush golfed. He's also taking phone calls on every hole and after every hole. The countries are lining up right now to do business with the United States. It's coming. He knows it's coming. Donald Trump's done this before. I mean, even when people say, well, yeah, but he's been bankrupt before. Yeah, he was like $800 million in the hole. Guess what? He came out of it because he knows how to do it. He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it for us. He's doing it for the country, the better of the country. He didn't have to do this. He could have been a billionaire with his hot wife on his gorgeous property, but he didn't. He's doing this because he's the last one we got. But what I loved about this, and this is my take it for what you will, and leave your comments at the Operator Podcast or at Makuya. I will probably read it now because I'm in a fantastic mood. But he's golfing because he's showing you this is just business as usual. And he's fine. He's not panicking. Scott is not panicking. No one in the cabinet is panicking. They're all calm. Except for the left. They're freaking out. Calm down. If you can stay calm and learn how to ride it out, take a breath. If the stocks aren't going well, turn it off. Take a deep breath, take a walk, and remember, you're never out of the fight.